Poem from Margaret Atwood called The Moment. Yes, she's the Canadian author of The Handmaid's Tale. The moment when, after many years of hard work and a long voyage, you stand in the center of your room, your house, half acre, square mile, island, country, knowing at last how you got there and say, I own this, is the same moment when the trees unloose their soft arms from around you, the birds take back their language, the cliffs fissure and collapse, the air moves back from you like a wave and you can't breathe. No, they whisper, you own nothing. You were a visitor, time after time, climbing the hill, planting the flag, proclaiming, we never belonged to you. You never found us. It was always the other way around. And a quote from Ray Bradbury, author of the novel Fahrenheit 451, a book about people watching endless television and banning books. I would like to remind you one thing: humans should never forget that we have been assigned only a very small place on Earth, that we live surrounded by nature that can easily take back everything that has ever been given to man. It costs absolutely nothing in her way to one day blow us all off the face of the earth or flood the waters of the ocean with her single breath, just to remind man once again that he is not as all powerful as he still foolishly thinks. Welcome to Calm in the Chaos Interfaith Center, where we are increasingly aware of how our country's leaders have leaned into the Fahrenheit 451 ways of using their unchecked power to control all of us. Do you remember the seagulls in the movie Finding Nemo? When the flock landed upon a piece of bread or other goodie, they chanted, mine, 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 mine. Each one of them claimed ownership of the treat. They each valiantly planted their flag into the bit and identified it as belonging to them as they devoured it. We humans are capable of putting the gulls to shame with ownership of things. I recognized this in my middle years as I learned how sentimental people can get about a platter that belonged to great grandma, and how storing, saving, and hanging on to things gave such great comfort to some people that the television show Hoarders was born. Mine, mine, mine. This feeling can tie into, or maybe even spring from, religious training. There's a writing in the Judeo Christian scriptures about our having dominion over the earth. Here it is, Genesis 1, verses 26 to 28. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens and over every living creature that moves on the earth. Let me tackle that be fruitful and multiply phrase first. If you were starting a new village, a new way of life, a new religion, a new school, wouldn't you want more than a couple people to populate it? And that's what was happening when all of this was written down. If there were only Adam and Eve, there wouldn't have been a chapter 2. So we were told that God wants to populate the place with humans because religions depended on there being people to hold meetings, to worship together, to continue the lessons, to carry on the rituals. So populating seemed like the only way to flourish. Nowadays, as so many parts of what we have learned, both in scriptures and otherwise, have evolved into what is necessary today. And here's where I remind you that we humans were also directed to do a lot of things that no longer are necessary. Example, not eating pork. In the day, there were health reasons due to no refrigeration and other concerns that led to a no pork rule. But those reasons no longer exist. Now, I understand people still choose to follow that law for faith practices, but the health reasons are gone. There are Christians and Orthodox Jews and other people that, for religious reasons, believe that being fruitful means to have as many children as possible, just like not eating pork believes that you shouldn't eat pork. We have some things that have dissolved, not evolved. In this day and age, questions arise beyond whether a family can afford large numbers of children, but is it ethical to do so, considering the planet is bulging at her seams, trying to spread the natural resources around to all who need them? Jimmy Kimmel made a joke about this recently, about populating the world, and he said, "Have you ever been to Costco on a Saturday morning? I think we have enough people on the planet." The worst part of this is we have a leader right now who has advocated having as many children as you can with a paycheck of $5,000 for your pregnancy and childbirth. This barely covers diapers and daycare for 3 years. But sadly, some desperate women may not be able to see beyond that. But here we go, advocating having a lot of children to populate the new religion, the new village, the new America. Because now the government is trying to be in charge of not only our uteruses, but also our entire future lives as childbearing mothers. Not only won't we be arrested for trying to find an abortion doctor, but we will be paid for not having the abortion. God freed the Israelites from being slaves when they were enslaved by the Egyptians. God must help us now to free women from white man's colonization of our bodies. And now the dominion over part. This too is part of the governing of other sentient beings. Patriarchy has been in operation for centuries, and the writers of the dominion over part helped to create that. Pastors and congregations who have not challenged patriarchy are sustaining and feeding it. Men used to own women, much as slave owners kept humans of African descent tethered to them. That's why a traditional Christian wedding ceremony used to include the clergy asking the bride's father, "Who gives this woman to be married?" Her father was literally giving her to her new husband, her new owner. Men owned women, and times have changed, or so we thought, and so we hope. Women and people of African descent can live well now without having a keeper, someone on whom they depend for health care, food, basic survival. And we do hope times have changed permanently. While man must no longer be allowed to say, "Mine, mine, mine," we must not let that happen. As for the dominion over the rest of the natural world, well, we never owned any of it. This earth, its waters, its air, its planets, its plants, its animals and minerals and rocks are actually a gift for us. We are visitors here, caretakers, as it were, and that's what dominion over means. Caretakers. We do not have license or permission to abuse or utilize for our own gain only. We have been trusted to care for the penguins, the clouds, the sea urchins, and we humans have made a mess of it. We've neglected to act in a grateful manner, and we have created poison after poison to control portions of the natural world for our own use and abuse. Dr. Roger Salant, when he was professor of environmental studies at Case Western, said in a lecture that the world renews herself every so often, but the next time she does so, there probably won't be humans on the planet. We are in a vortex of daily assaults by white men and their political agendas. Yes, it's social. Yes, it's political. Yes, it's economic. And what is happening flies in the face of everything that builds a community of trust, support, compassion, and freedom. Our sisters and brothers in our towns, yes, right here, not in some distant state that's easy to scroll by, right here where you are living, those sisters and brothers are being treated with indignity, taken from their families, and put into holding camps. Shame on the neighbors who still think this is the way to fix immigration. May they someday see the light. So I challenge each of us to take to heart the deep meaning of Pastor Martin Niemöller's famous poem. Close your eyes and allow your soul to digest these words as I read. First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. With apologies to Pastor Niemöller, and I suspect he would understand what I've done, I updated the poem to address our current situation. First, they came for my gay friends, and I did not speak out because I am not gay. Then they came for people who spoke out against the president, and I had not spoken out against the president, so I didn't speak up. Then they came for women who were using birth control or needed an abortion, and I was postmenopausal, so I did not speak out. Then they came for the Muslims, and I did not speak out because I was not a Muslim. But then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. Mine is patriarchal. Sharing flies in the face of patriarchy. So what can we do? We can share. We can share whatever resources we have with someone who is afraid for their lives right now. Maybe that resource is being on the other end of a text or a call when someone is thinking that the only way through this mess is out of it. Assure them they're not alone, but make the words mean something. Touch base frequently, visit, call your tribe together in your home. People don't do this much right now, but I've had great success with inviting friends for an evening meal. Is it too much trouble? No, I'm beyond thinking I have to vacuum and scrub for other people. My home is my home. Come over, and the people are what make it important. Since November, I've hosted a monthly dinner party for 6 people. That's all I can fit around my table in my smaller than Brockport house now. I make the main dish, and one of the others brings bread, somebody else dessert, somebody beverages, somebody salad, and the 6th person appetizers. The meal is always fabulous because each person takes their part so seriously. But more than that, the discussions, the laughter, the joy is palatable, and that's what we need right now. Friendship, community, a respite from the constant news feed, sisterhood, the real feeling that we're not alone, and a place to be whole, to be authentically who each of us is. For one evening, we build the world that we want to live in. I end today with a quote from Pope Francis's final Easter message given last Sunday, the day before he crossed over to the immortal shore. These are his words. I appeal to all those in positions of political responsibility in our world not to yield to the logic of fear, which only leads to isolation from others, but rather to use the resources available to help the needy, to fight hunger and to encourage initiatives that promote development. These are the weapons of peace, weapons that build a future instead of sowing seeds of death. May God bless us all.